there are some hashtags that don't get shared because they may be offensive or of a hate nature, or maybe just have foul language and that the companies don't, or that the social media doesn't like. So those are things to look out for if you have a hashtag you want to use. Also, just recommendation is that, you don't want to make something too unique unless you can get people behind it to power it forward. So, CG Young Consulting is probably not going to be a hashtag. People are going to be hashtagging, so I don't even use it. I just connect people to my website and my LinkedIn page and, all the other pages, but, there's no need for me to put a hashtag there. I like to use the hashtag for the emergency industries. So I think that's pretty well. So are there any questions so far? Okay. All right, so hashtag use. We talked about, the communication engagement part, but we go back to the branding marketing. A lot of us, have businesses or support businesses that we want to get more business for. So we put our hashtags out there to get people interested. So if you see up here where it says care enough, I'm a big Hallmark fan, and I got a box, and there on the bottom of the box there was care enough, hashtag care enough. And so if I were to go into Twitter, which I've gone there with that, and Instagram, I can locate all the post by Hallmark or by people who are fans of Hallmark that put care enough. And it takes everybody to the Hallmark's page, and it gets them into the Hallmark page. So it's kind of like a lead magnet in a way, but you don't really get anything. You just get taken somewhere else. So we talk about familiar with the product, process, or person. There was an example of a Honey Nut Cheerios. I think Hootsuite had it in one of their articles. It was a Honey Nut Cheerios hashtag. When you're trying to sell a book, so selling a book is about the numbers. So when we get people involved in trying to put their book out there and sell their book, a lot of people go with hashtags to get people to come look at what they're hashtagging, because they see enough people get interested. Identifying trends, you'll see us big on Twitter. Twitter identifies the trends for hashtagging. They will put, say now politics, you'll see Trump or you'll see Biden with a hashtag. And, you can go anytime on Twitter and you can see a whole list of hashtags on the right-hand side. You can't see what's trending on LinkedIn so much, but you can go and see the popularity of them. And Instagram, it's kind of a mix, but more or less you see more of the usage of it. And I'll show you how they have different ones that you need to watch out for. And then supporting issues. So when we have, when you saw the Black Lives Matter come up, there you see hashtag BLM, you see hashtag Black Lives Matter. You also see companies have, when they're coming out, they're trying to support the COVID-19 stuff, you'll see hashtag COVID-19. And I'll tell you, if you use COVID-19 in a hashtag, you'll get it screened. A lot of times you'll get an email, and I've gotten this a few times for some of my articles when I've used the words COVID-19, because they're looking out for people trying to spread false information, and they're very much on shutdown on that hashtag, even though it's still used a lot. In this bottom hashtag, I thought was unusual. I saw it come up on my television when I was watching a show last week, and Fight the Cut. Now, I had no idea that this was a hashtag until I saw it, and so I took a picture of it. Just know that they're out there. They're on television. They're on products. So you just have to keep an eye out for them. So hashtag requirements, again, numbers and letters. Wrong way. So start with all that. You're starting to get the picture to form. Your teams are starting to recognize the use of hashtags, and so if they want to steer somebody in a certain way, they might use a different hashtag to get them where they need to get, or they might, do some intermediary and connect them with other hashtags. It's probably best not to just throw a bunch of hashtags on there, because it comes off, it's a couple places I've read says spammy, and you don't want to necessarily have a hashtag. Okay, let me see. Oh, why the image is black box? Okay, well that's because I built this off an app, and so you'll see that these are white. These are actually numbers, and so connect the dots, connecting knowledge dots here. So this is connect the dots, and this is like the beginning of the outlines you put together the knowledge. So once we have all the knowledge for it, we'll have a picture. So teams are starting to put together the use of hashtags, you know, as a knowledge tool. So you might have somebody come in with some information or some tacit knowledge that they share, at least in some experience, if you're doing a project. They're doing a project, and then somebody else comes up with some explicit information. So you're slowly putting it all together, and you're getting around. So you're about 2/3 of the way, right? If you're on a computer, you should be able to see it if you have your lighting all the way back up. But if not, apologize for that. This is about the best I can get for a dot to dot. Where I can show this picture to you. So, but you can see the red lines and the blue lines, correct? Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. So you're seeing how the pictures come together. You know, so these lines represent the knowledge you're gaining through, you know, transfer, sharing, the whole SECI cycle. So it's a good good visual, you know, to know that, hey, I'm almost done, because I only have, there's dots over here, there's dots here and here, over here and over here. So you'll slowly see the dots connected. So popularization of hashtags. You know, hashtags, I think, you know, this, I couldn't find anything specific about why they got popular, but now they get popular because of these things. So the branding and marketing, you have a team behind your company that's pushing out these hashtags, that's making these hashtags, and they, you know, you could have, you know, like I showed down here, you could possibly have like an engagement pod. So, you know, engagement pods in postings where you get more visibility are the same things that may be driving hashtags popular. The hashtag popularity, you know, it's really based on interest. And if you look at Twitter, you can see how quickly hashtags come and go. You know, again, the group or person wants to draw attention to a product, process, another person, or even their businesses. If you have a social issue like I covered earlier, you know, that may drive a hashtag to become popular. And then other things are like an organic interest. When Hamilton first came out on Disney this summer in July, you saw an explosion of Hamilton, and you see hashtag Hamilton musical. So you have a lot of you know, organic stuff that comes up. You may see somebody, you know, I think there's a woman, a journalist, Katie. She was on Twitter. She made a comment about, you know, men don't hold open doors for women because, you know, it's like putting a leash on a dog. And there was a lot of women that just hashtag Katie. And so when it came up in my Twitter feed, I was like, what is that? So I went back and I looked at Twitter and I clicked on it, and it brought all these hashtags up, and I'm like, wow. So I don't, you know, that could have been just this person wanted to get, you know, she purposely said that to get people interested in her and following her, or she just wanted to start up something, or it was purely accidental. She probably didn't think that it would go viral like it did. So it's always you know, it's always interesting to see what shows up on the Twitter trends. All right, so as far as the hashtags across social media, I put together this spreadsheet. Just talk about, you know, what's the most popular hashtags on, you know, in social platform. And I went with Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And, you know, this is based on October 3rd, 2020. So I didn't do it this morning. It was done a couple days ago. And so if you see, they have different ways of looking at hashtags. I'll show you down here, but, you know, hashtag ICO. And I had no idea what ICO was, so I looked it up, and I think it has to do with politics. but not 100% because I'm not in the US right now. So my feed comes up a little bit different today than it does when I'm at home. So what I brought up was based on where I am, and they base their numbers on number of interactions per tweet. And so this one had 19.8 interactions per tweet, but they don't tell you if it's a lifetime of the tweet or over the lifetime of Twitter or just lifetime of past month, or if it's lifetime of the tweet. Instagram, 1.824 billion for love, and I'm sure that those are every Valentine's Day, every time there's a wedding or something great. It's not going to stop. And then LinkedIn, because it's business related, it makes sense that they're going to have innovation more. But they had 38.6 million. So when you use tweets or when you use hashtags, recommended number to use a single post. Twitter only recommends 2, and this is based off of Twitter's document, whereas LinkedIn recommends 3. However, I have friends that do social media for a living, and I've been recommended anywhere between 2 and 6 and 3 and 6 on LinkedIn, probably no more than 3 on Twitter, but LinkedIn no more than 6. And so I try to keep mine there. In Instagram, the reason I say it depends is because it depends on how much space you have left in your post. Because if you look down at the note, I put it's limitations based on number of characters allowed. And you'll see they allow 30 on a post and 10 on a story. And so Instagram, if you only have 2 words in your post or 3, then that leaves all other room for the hashtags. But if you have 29 words, you have no room for hashtags. So that's what I mean by it depends. So yeah, for Twitter, there is no limit on hashtags in a post, but they do recommend 2. So Twitter's meant to be a in and out real quick, maybe 1-liner, 2-liner, or a link to something. It's not meant to be a diatribe. So they that's why I limited 2, but they do have no limit on number of hashtags in the post. But again, you have a character limit of 280. They doubled it, I think 2 years ago. Twitter doubled it to 280 from 140. So that gives you a little more space to do a hashtag. And just know that I am not perfect on my hashtags. I sometimes will throw a couple extra in there just so I can get more views on things and try to find out what's working and what's not. So Instagram, again, you have a limited number of characters, and you can have hashtags and everything in there. But you have 2,200 characters in there. And then for LinkedIn, personal pages and business pages have a different part of their character amounts. But you'll notice when you put your hashtags in there, and then you put your @ symbols where you're trying to connect other people to it, call attention to them, on your post, that's all part of your 130 limit or your 1,300 limit, and they'll cut you off. It'll truncate you real quick. Now, what's interesting is that down here, I put some of the more popular knowledge management words or hashtags. And so KM, you have 920,000 uses of KM on Instagram. I thought, wow, that's a lot of people interested in knowledge management. And then I'm like, no, okay. So it also stands for kilometers. And so you got a lot of racing people, athletics in there, because I do runs, and I know that you don't speak anything but kilometers when you're doing races. But they also talk about it in uses. In LinkedIn, they have followers. So there's only 322 people following the KM hashtag. However, knowledge management's doing a lot better. You see that, Instagram's got a little over 8,300 and LinkedIn's almost 4,800. And that's one I use consistently. Knowledge sharing is a lot more, and I don't know why it's more. It could be just, I prefer to use knowledge sharing sometimes because I want people to know what part of knowledge management I'm talking about. But it's significantly higher on Instagram. And LinkedIn, not so much, just a little bit higher. And then with knowledge is power, one I told you, just one of my favorite. It's over 3 million on Instagram, almost 4 million. And then LinkedIn, it's 1.5 or 1,500. But the thing is about knowledge power is it's not just for knowledge management. People use it to talk about social issues too, about education, trying to get younger folk to, and I say younger because my daughter's younger. But the knowledge power, it relates directly to, knowledge management, but not so much. It depends on how you use it. And when you put in Instagram to search for it, it doesn't tell you what the different uses are or why they're using it. There's also use of it in politics too. Now, the reason I grayed out Twitter is because I could not locate anything that said that this is how many uses or this is how many followers these hashtags had. What Twitter has is they have trends. Now there are a few software tools you can use, and I did try using them, and they gave me almost nothing. The knowledge, for instance, knowledge management came up. There's one free piece of software that came up and said it had 200 something instances of it, and I have a hard time, believing that that's only going to show up on Twitter 200 something times since Twitter's been around since 2006, so it's 14 years. There's no way. But they do focus more on the trends. So it's there is a paid app that supposedly does more, but I'm not into paying for information or knowledge I can gain on my own, unless I was using it for business. If I was using it for my job, if I had a contract I was supporting with that, yeah, then I'd check that off as part of the contract. Right. And so as we gain more knowledge and collect more knowledge, you see the pictures forming. So by now, some people can probably figure out what this is. Does anybody have any idea what that is? Just look at the picture. Not yet. Okay. All right. So, if I give you hashtags a long way, that made it easier. But the point, is that, as we gain knowledge, and we can gain knowledge through the hashtags, because just looking at the different types of hashtags, we can focus on what you have available to you. So that's why it's important to use hashtags that are very specific to what you're talking about. But also you want to make sure that you get the attention of the groups you want to get attention from, so they can start using those hashtags as well. Kind of like what Nate Ritter did with the San Diego fire. When he used that hashtag based on Chris Messina's advice, that opened up the floodgates for other people using it. And like I said, if you look there's some studies out there that talks about communication during Hurricane Katrina. They were big. They're posting on different sites, but also using hashtags. It was a really big effort, and that's I don't think that could really be understated enough, or overstated enough. It's hashtags. If you use them the right way, they're very useful. But if you waste them by trying to have a cute hashtag that doesn't do anything, and no one's following, it's really not going to do you a lot of good. You're going to be sitting there wondering why no one's talking. So emojis. A lot of times, you want emojis to differentiate your hashtag, and this is where the danger of knowledge is power. So you have the one books, which I assume, based on the books, that this is hashtag. Yes. Hashtags are, help you build a trend, but they also they also help you draw attention to whatever you're trying to draw attention to, whether it's a social issue or if you're trying to build a brand. I'm hoping to be an author of a book all on my own, and so that's one of the reasons I'm building my brand through hashtags, trying to gain some interest as well as gain some connections so that I can learn from them. But yes. Building a trend is really big. A lot of times people build a trend just to get noticed. Right. So, you see the, like I said, the books here, that can be more of a scholastic thing. And then knowledge power down here with the bicep, that can either be a social power, that could be an interest or a weightlifting, so it's, and then here you have your plain, just empty knowledge power, and that's one that has 3,900 posts. So just gotta be careful when you're looking at them, what each means. So it's good to go into them. You can do, this is from Instagram, and you just go in there, and it'll say explore on the left hand side, or that's Twitter. But one of them has, you can hit explore, and you put the hashtag you're looking for. You put hashtag in the name in the search engine, and it'll bring up a list. And so you also see knowledge is powerful because it doesn't exclude anything if it's after knowledge power. All right, so the knowledge dots are connected now, and you see you have a helicopter. So you have you built a helicopter based on knowledge of hashtags, and the hashtags are they can be different names, they can be changed by the emojis, and you just gotta be careful what you're using, because if you're talking about knowledge management as knowledge management, the practice of knowledge management, and you say knowledge power, well, if you don't use the right one, you may get a social group, or you may get an education group, and you want to make sure you get the right group. So it's important to be cognizant of the hashtags you're using and the ones you're selecting from the list. Again, they're going to be different on Twitter and on Instagram, and LinkedIn. So it's Twitter and LinkedIn will share some, because if you go down to what's it called, when you're doing a post, there's a pull down menu, and you can say share with your contacts on LinkedIn, or you can say share on LinkedIn and Twitter. And so Instagram and Facebook are all going to connect as well, which is why I didn't talk about Facebook today, because Instagram and Facebook, they share a lot of stuff. So I couldn't find anything that said the numbers are skewed by sharing posts or by their connections, but it's possible. So I have a really interesting thing to share with you. So while I was writing this, I met somebody in another group. She joined this course that I'm in, and her name is Amber Boaz. So you see this hashtag Boaz. And if you look at the top, it talks about her being, an expert. And this was purely by accident. She did not create this. It was, she works for Salesforce, and while she was at, she and her mom led these weekly meetings or monthly meetings at this cafe. And when she had a lot of people asking for help, and so this one woman was very, very enamored by her, liked that she was helping her, and so every time she would help her, she would say, "Oh, I've just been Boazed." Well, this caught on, and so it started being a following. And then she decided, I'm going to make stickers. So she made these hashtag stickers of hashtag Boaz, and she passed them out at this conference, this Dreamforce conference for Salesforce. And she told me she gave away about 400 stickers. She's tweeted on Twitter with Boaz. So she's got a following. And then she went and she bought the domain Boaz.com just because of the hashtag. And so because of this, she is now a brand. She's a brand recognized expert in her field. She's got people following her because she's got her hashtag, and people want to learn more about her. So her business that she's working on, she works with Salesforce, has really seen some gains too, because they know when they call Amber Boaz, they can get the expertise that they need. And so when people say Boaz, I read all the tweets, and there was not a negative tweet in there about Boaz. There are people there wanting to get the sticker because they want to post it, and there are people posting it with Boaz. So she's getting a lot of familiarity based off a hashtag. So that's one goal that people have when they have a hashtag. And she did not create this. This is totally organic from her group, and it was based on a positive way of calling it. if hashtag, I'm reading Monica's, if hashtag's not unique and maybe people can use the same name, how can we customize and use identify brand? You know, that's a great question. That's why I showed you the emojis. You know, you can add an emoji to it, but it's also, you know, like say Honey Nut Cheerios. Cheerios is a brand where they have the offshoots of Honey Nut Cheerios, and then the I think they have fruit Cheerios and chocolate Cheerios now, which are kind of gross, but you know that you distinct yourself by putting a different word in there, or maybe you have a certain spelling for it. You know, there's so many out there. There's no limit on how many can be created, and there's no limit on how many you can create. So, you know, other than identifying it, you know, I would say you're gonna have to use it in different medias. So, you know, if you different media, so if you use it on the internet, and you can use it on packaging, you can use it on television, you can use it on emails. Emails is a great place to put it, because companies, companies will send you emails all day long selling you stuff. And guess what? They'll have a hashtag in there, or they'll have a link to something, and that link will have a hashtag when you go to it. So, you know, I don't know if that answered your question, but really, you know, best thing to do is to do your homework and look and see which hashtags are being used for what. You're welcome. Okay, all right. So I think that's the end. Okay, so this is how you can connect with me. I have lots of ways to connect with me, and these are all active links. You know, so you can find me. You know, LinkedIn. I'm usually on LinkedIn multiple times a day. You know, Facebook. That's my business page. I'm not. In fact, even my personal page there, and then Twitter and Instagram. You know, I have those are focused on business, and you know. So now, do you have any questions? Okay. Yes, you can have languages in other than English. You definitely can. It just has to be a letter or a number combination. You know, a hashtag symbol followed by letters or numbers. You know, but yes, I've seen them where they're not in English, but yes, definitely have them. You know, right. Yes, thank you, Eric. Yeah, and it'll be in PDF, so you guys will see those. Eric has them, and so if you don't have more questions, I'm going to turn back over to Eric.
Thank you, Cindy. Any other questions, folks, before we wrap up today? While we have Cindy on. Okay, got the chat.
I'm trying to figure out how to turn off my my screen share.
Let's see.
Oh, no, I stopped sharing. Yeah, silly.
Never would have guessed the helicopter, huh?
Yeah. Well, it was just an app. It was a free app, and I apologize. It wasn't larger, but I couldn't find one online that wasn't easy to use. So I wanted to have a picture to just demonstrate, you know, how you connect the dots to get a picture of knowledge. Yeah. But does it really matter in terms of KM? Knowledge of terms of knowledge or KM? Monica, are you asking whether or not we use the words knowledge or words KM, or just in general, hashtags in general? Because if you want to know if it doesn't matter for what, it's yeah, the hashtags. Okay. Well, sorry, were you asking about what do you mean matter in terms of knowledge or KM? Talk about the picture or the hashtags? I don't want to leave without answering your question.
I was thinking in terms of hashtag is what she was, yeah, the hashtag.
Oh, hashtag, yeah. I mean, all this stuff is applicable to any hashtag. So but as far as knowledge or KM, if you put KM in there, it'll look, and there's gonna be tons of KM, and they use it in different countries to mean different words. So they're the knowledge. I usually go for the word now. Right, Abdullah. What's the key moderating factor for interpreting meaning a hashtag? I think it's just how it's used. The hashtag. Are you talking about the definition I gave you, or are you talking about using a hashtag? Because if you're talking about the book definition, I don't know how they came up with that definition. They probably came up with it just to be able to create how you create it. But the meaning of the hashtags, it's based on what you're using it for. So if you have a bigger people that think that this knowledge is power means something, then that's going to mean what it means to them. And so if you want it to mean something else, you may want to rename it and put the emoji with it to be something else, like with books. All right, Eric.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Well, thanks again, Cindy, for this. This was definitely informative. Good to learn about hashtags. I've always wanted to know about it myself. So appreciate you sharing your wisdom today.
Yeah, the best way to learn it is just to use them. I'm still struggling with which ones are better, which ones are more used. I looked at my analytics, and I don't really know if adding online education or online learning is better for my posts when I'm talking on a webinar. It's a mystery.
Here's Abdullah clarifying. That's just the message context. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome, Ada. Yes, they are more than just fluff. But it's weird that they have rules on them. I guess somebody got bored when they put rules on them.
All right. Well, I think we can leave it there. So again, Cindy, for today, and we hope to do another one with you soon, and we'll have the recording and the slides available for everyone. So I think we can sign off now, and thanks everyone for joining us. And
all right. Thanks.